Dr. John Harding. I'd like to welcome you to our program, Raising Children with God. We're going to be talking about art for children tonight. Our guest is Steve Breen. Steve, welcome.
John?
Steve is an art teacher at the Jacob Hyatt Magnet School in Worcester, and we're about a third of the way through this series on the school-age child. We've done the nursery school child, the 4-year-old. We've done the kindergartner. We've done the first 3 grades with a third grade teacher. We've done a program on special education for children with learning difficulties. And now we're going to get into art and music and sports. And this is the first of our arts program. And I'm really glad to have you. I'm curious as to what you're going to say, and assume that I don't know very much about this, and perhaps the audience is a bit like me. I thought I'd ask you really at the beginning how you became interested in art, and a little bit about your educational background and how you came to be an art teacher at a school in Worcester.
I'd be glad to tell you, John. When I went to high school, it was the first time I really became interested in art. And I went to Burncoat in Worcester. And my senior year, I became very interested in art, where I decided I wanted to go to art school. So I had to spend my last half of my senior year getting a portfolio ready to apply to college. I took most of my courses in high school were biology, physics, chemistry, things like that. I wanted to go into the medical side, or the science side. But I don't know how it changed around, but I just decided art was the way to go. Got a portfolio together, took it down to the Worcester Art Museum and several other colleges, and the Worcester Art Museum accepted me, and I decided to go there. Because I've always been in Worcester, and I decided to stay in the local area. I spent 3 years in the Worcester Art Museum School, which is now no longer there as far as the certificate or degree program. And then I went to Clark University, got my bachelor's. Then I went to Assumption College and got my master's. And I've also attended Worcester State, Fitchburg State, and I'm taking a course now at Clark University. So that's basically the way I got started in art. As a child, I did a lot with my hands, but it wasn't really, it was woodworking, model making, and things like that. And I had a very supportive grandfather who was artistic, and I think I got a lot from him.
You know, that's a little bit like myself. You know, you kind of went through high school before I think it probably occurred to you that art might be a career, it might be your job. We should have changed places, actually. I took mostly art and classics in high school. I had one science course, biology, and I didn't even decide until the summer after I graduated. I was signed up for classics major in college, which would have been Greek and Latin. And then I kind of started to think that summer what I might do with a degree in classics, and I couldn't think of much, and I said, you know, I think I'll maybe switch to pre-med, and I did. But my pre-med was difficult because I had only one science course. Okay, so you didn't have a whole lot of art.
Right.
You went into your college art courses. How did that work out?
I was lost for a while, but it was a lot of effort and a little extra work, and it worked out very well, I think.
Now, you chose teaching instead of going off to Paris and starving and being on the banks of the Seine. And
one thing you learn very quickly is that there's not many people who succeed just selling paintings or sculpture or things like that. So, no, I wanted to become an educator.
My daughter's a teacher. I've learned new respect for teachers, seeing her struggle home and all drained, and her enthusiasm for teaching. And I love children. I think working with children is a great privilege, and I work with them as a pediatrician. You work with them to teach them art. I wonder, you know, when you begin your year, and I know you're at Jacob Hyatt, the Magnet School in Worcester, which is a special school, but I hope all our public schools will be special soon and have everything that they need in every department, and I hope and pray for our president and his first lady and our Senate and our Congress and our local government. I hope we'll wake up and appreciate the value of education and the value of our children and how important a role education is. Education, not just reading, writing, arithmetic.
Right.
Art,
should be the whole
music,
smorgasbord
sports.
Of everything, just to expose the children to them, whether they use it, whether they find one little thing that they can be good at. I mean, just to have success in one thing is very important, I think. It just builds the confidence.
Well, you know, art is a special thing. I think children are born with gifts and talents, treasures. I think it's possible that a gifted child in art, it might go undiscovered. And I wonder, like, when you start your year now with your students, what's your aim? Like, what's your goal? And a bit about how you handle each class and the school program for the year, because I really don't know.
Well, at the school I'm at, I teach kindergarten through 6. And now I've been there for 3 years, so some of the students I've had for the 3 years. But every level has a different goal and objective. As far as, say, kindergarten 1 and 2, they have certain vocabulary words they have to learn. They have to learn their colors, what shapes, texture, pattern, simple things like that that they'll use later on in the upper grades. And I just reinforce those words and I add to the vocabulary as the years go on. Okay. And we try out different techniques and with different results, of course. Everyone's at a different level in the school. I don't expect every kindergarten student to know how to draw a dinosaur or a dog. Some kids can draw beautifully at that age. Some are still coming out of what is called a schematic stage, or almost a scribbling stage. But as long as they're working at their top level, we just try to add a little more to the total child.
Do you see, say in a kindergarten class, do you see a few that seem to have extra enthusiasm or some natural talent?
All right, I was going to say, enthusiasm and talent would be two different things. Mm-hmm. Kindergarten students are very enthusiastic. They love to get in there, and they love to do whatever you ask them to do. As far as talent goes, I think it's a little early. You might find one or two who are notch above the other students, but it's the enthusiasm that I like. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for a Van Gogh. I'm not looking for a Renoir. I'm looking for someone who can appreciate the art and just be exposed to it and enjoy it.
I see some of the children come into the office sometimes with green and blue hands, and
I probably have some of my hands
maybe
tonight.
Those were some of your students, you know.
Yeah.
So do you have a plan for each class? Like, do you have a plan for the kindergarten age and the first grade?
Yes, we have goals for each group, right. In the beginning of the year, what I've been doing for the past 3 years is I've been saving pieces of artwork from every level of certain students. So where I can go back and say 4, 5, 6 years and actually look at the progression of one student. In other words, what kind of work he produced in kindergarten, 3rd grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. And maybe I can reevaluate my program that way, plus I can see, whether it's working, whether I'm meeting my goals and objectives. But as far as exposing them to different techniques at the school, at the Jacob Hyatt, we work in many techniques. We'll work with paints, crayons, like most schools will do. We do ceramics. We do some jewelry making. So I try to expose the kids to as many things as possible: collage work, wood cuts, linoleum cuts, things like that. So you don't know what you have there. So you just expose them to as many things as you can, and just hopefully they'll, in junior high, high school, college, maybe they'll click in and whether it's a hobby or a job, they'll enjoy it.
Do you take them out, like, for a day? Will they go to the art museum, or do you take them?
Yes. There's a program at the Art Museum where they take all 6th grade students in the city of Worcester there for a program. They have docents that come in and teach them, well, it's a certain curriculum that they have. And then the finale of that is to go to the Art Museum. And this year I was lucky enough to go with the kids as a part of the group. And it was nice. Other field trips that I've had, not at the Hyatt, at the school I was at before, we used to go to Rockport. And we'd go up and draw on the jetties. Or you might go to Higgins Armory and do a unit in social studies and art there.
And tie together
tie
history.
Together history, right.
Armor and art.
Yeah, but it's nice to use the Art Museum. Is a very big resource for Central Massachusetts.
I got a big shock this month. My youngest son took me on a tour of the Gardner Museum in Boston. And you go from adult and parent and taking your children around, and then all of a sudden you find they're taking you around and exposing you to things that you had long ignored or...
New insights that way.
Yes.
New set of eyes looking at the same thing.
Feedback.
It's good, right.
I brought a flower tonight from our backyard. I was thinking about art, and I always think that God is and the name of our program is Raising Children with God, and he was a great artist, or she. We have to be careful now, but God seems to be a great artist. The flower, so beautiful, and I brought a few things too tonight that maybe we can show later on in the program. Different materials, some wood and a couple of things, and religious art. And I always want on this program to mix. I think I see children who are struggling sometimes with their self-image. They haven't had success. They may not be academically, that may not be their forte, so they're not getting the A's, and they may have an older brother or sister getting the straight A's, and so they're not feeling that they're that bright, and then they might not be good at sports, and they've not had success there. They're playing baseball, but they're not starting, and they're not a very good hitter. And you see children, and I think we seem to emphasize the sports so much, and we're very grade conscious, and we're very money conscious, and yet I think that some children miss if they happen to have the art gift or the music gift, or maybe an unusual athletic talent. It could be karate or something. But I like to, we're talking about art, but to use that just to kind of point out to parents to really look at their child and try to help them to find something that they will love and be good at, maybe better than anyone else in the family, and they'll be very proud of that, and it'll help their self-image, and they'll start to get the ball rolling, and they'll get more confident, and then they'll start to succeed better in other areas because they have the confidence.
It's just the way it works. I've had several students who really their only success would be in the art area. It's too bad that you have the high dropout rate, but they have done away with a lot of the programs in the schools that could possibly keep some of the dropouts in the schools where they could succeed at art or music or theater or dance. And I think if they can just succeed at one thing, that would help the total, everything. It just boosts the self-esteem. They feel better about themselves. They try a little bit harder. It's worth working for now. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I do. And I think I read a statistic somewhere recently about Japan spending $1.50 a year on each student for arts, and we're spending something like 15 cents per student per year on a national scale. And somehow I think I've seen this, and we seem to be aware of it, but it's got to happen. We've got to prioritize in this nation of ours the importance of education for our children. And it's got to be supported, and it's got to be valued, and I have no problem at all just in my own mind thinking a child's education is more important than another zillion interballistic missiles or nuclear weapons that now they've all been scrapped.
But I think the important thing is the parents realize that it's the total education of the child, not just the reading and the writing. They have to be exposed to the other things too, to make the total child.
Well, we want a whole child. I think our emphasis would be their physical well-being. But more and more, maybe it's a little bit of growing older too, I more and more see that the whole child is the emotional,
physical
mental and spiritual.
Correct.
And I think we have a spiritual famine in this country at the moment, not just our children, but I think their parents and adults in general, because we've neglected that. And I think looking at the whole child, if we can remember the whole child and the whole world around them and all that there is, then we won't leave out big chunks. And art, I think, is something that